Dallas Mavericks lose in Milwaukee to the Milwaukee Bucks. 4 straight loss. It's kind of dark times right now. But how dark is it? Is it that bad? Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the Raptors game. All coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome to Locked On Mavs. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, contributor to Mavs.com, Mavs Studio 41 on Twitter, to the quarter 3, 97.1, The Freak. I am half of Locked On Mavs. Nick is, I think he's coming back tomorrow. So we could just blame this 4-game losing streak on, could just blame it on Nick and the fact that the Mavericks have not been playing well. It's because Nick has been off the pod. But yeah, we're going to talk about the 4-game losing streak just a little bit, but then we'll talk mainly about this Bucks game that just happened on Sunday night, the Raptors game on Saturday night, and just how bad is it right now? It seems like it's a deep valley right now in Donnie Nelson's words in Mavs world, Mavs land. There you go. Can't even get the quote right. But let's talk about let's kind of zoom out and look at some things, and then what can they do basically? What is the next steps? Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. If you're watching on YouTube right now, scale 1 to 10, how bad is it right now for the Mavs? Drop it in the comments. Let's do the scale. 10 means it is trade the whole roster, fire everyone, start over, and this is the worst it's been in 5 years. 1, you don't care. They're winning the title. You don't care one bit. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're not going to have too many ones. Just to guess. So leave in the YouTube comments, scale 1 to 10. How bad is it? 10 being really bad, 1 being not bad at all. Thanks for understanding about no pod yesterday, as there was a game on Saturday night in Toronto. If you want to believe that there was a game, Nick is gone, as I said, visiting family for Thanksgiving. I have family visiting us for Thanksgiving. So I've been trying to hold down the pod with family here and all of that. But we were enjoying some family time, watched the game, and the game sucked. So, weekend pods are basically bonus pods for us. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about them both tomorrow because you know what the fan base doesn't want to hear right now? A podcast. But a lot of you are listening, and I did have a good amount of people reach out. So thanks for hanging in there and understanding. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Bucks game or the Raptors game? Yep. You said Raptors? Okay. No, actually, some of you said Bucks, or you didn't say either one of them at all. Real quick about the Raptors. Raptors game happened on Saturday night. No Siakam, no Scotty Barnes. In a normal season, for a normal drama-free team, you'd be like, hey, this is a great thing. The team's missing their best players. Sign me up. Let's get the dub. Not for this Mavericks team. Gotcha. They just want to keep you on your heels because that means nothing for this Mavericks team when another team is missing their best players. Mavs started that game. The Mavs starters started that game 18-4 Mavs. Good start for the Mavs, and then it just went away. Raptors had 17 offensive rebounds, 25 second chance points. Just killed them on the offensive glass. Dallas led by 15 points in that game. But man, just, OG had a great game. Just get OG to Dallas. This has happened. Sorry, Lockdown Raptors. What about the praise Luka gave to OG after the game too? Big time praise. Loved it. That last play of the game is tough. It's tough to watch Raptors threw so much, Nick Nurse, great coach. I love him as a head coach, but they threw so many defensive things at Luka. They brought the double early a lot. And, we've talked about how teams defend Luka all season long, trying to take Luka out of the games and daring other guys to beat him. A lot of teams have did the opposite, right? They've said, hey, Luka, you get your 40. We don't care. We'll try to take out the other guys. And that's worked at times too. So Toronto, they try to trap Luka a lot to make things hard for him. They did it in the last possession too. Luka tries to swing it to Maxey. Maxey has to step into the paint. We saw the play. It just gets passed around. Dorian thinks Maxey's going to stay in the paint there. And, he passes the ball to the Raptors. and that's the play. Super big bummer there. It felt like they were a little timid on who was going to shoot at first. First watching the play, I thought Dorian had a better angle of it in the corner, but Boucher was just he was closing out so fast, and he's the 7-footer too. So kind of get why he didn't take the shot, but really big bummer for the end of that game. But then you had the Bucks in the very next day. Reggie Bullock set out, so naturally it's like, all right, who's going to start? Josh Green, Christian Wood. Another option, Frank Ntilikina, Facu. Oh no, it's Tim Hardaway Jr. Come on down. Big time season for Tim. So let's give him a starting spot. Just kidding. Sarcasm. I would have started Josh Green personally. But they went with Tim. And Grayson Allen show, first quarter of all people. Grayson freaking Allen. I don't like Duke. That was tough to watch. Milwaukee's just so dang good. I mean, I think when it's said and done, they're going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. Still no Middleton for them. Giannis is Giannis. He's insane. Obviously they have Drew, but it got into that second half, and I was really curious on how much Luka was going to play in this game because, he plays 43 minutes the night before in Toronto. Second night of a back-to-back. They travel, to Milwaukee, and he starts off, the fourth quarter, and it's like, all right, you're going to do one of those again. Like he is not caring. I mean, he's just logging the minutes. I think he played in the second half tonight against Milwaukee. Luka Doncic played 18 of the possible 24 minutes, and that's with him setting out, those last 3 or 4 minutes a game when they took all the starters out. So he basically played all the second half. So another long game for Luka. He had 35 minutes tonight, so didn't cross the 40 mark. But Luka finished the game with 27 points tonight, 12 assists. He's 10 of 20 from the field, 3 of 7. It stops and ends, with Luka, and you can't help to watch this offense at times and ask the questions like, all right, gotta have somebody else out there that could get buckets next to Luka. Spencer had 22 tonight. Christian Wood 21 off the bench. Wood and Luka played together a lot off the Wood coming off the bench tonight in the second half. Christian Wood started the second half. Good for him. Played well into the fourth quarter. Played a ton of minutes with Luka in the second half. They just didn't have enough tonight. They didn't. I mean, you're going up against a Milwaukee team. That's a really good team. And once again, just like the Boston game, it felt like we were playing a team on a whole different level, different chemistry for Milwaukee. But just they're a title contending team once again, just like Boston. The Mavericks are not. You could tell it. You could tell it honestly with the chemistry part. You can definitely tell it when it comes to the floor. It's just kind of a bummer. It really is a bummer watching Luka in the fourth quarter. And it's like, man, it's just 15 points. Him hitting the three. It's like, oh, another, they're still up by 15. They just couldn't get over the hump in the game tonight. 17 to 41 from threes in this game for Dallas. So they hit their threes. I mean, it was like 42% for the Mavs, but they couldn't keep Milwaukee out of the paint. I think they scored 52 points in the paint tonight for Milwaukee, which, shocker, Dallas defending the paint is not the easiest thing for them. But they lost their fourth game in a row. Things are not looking fun right now for the Mavs, for the players, for the organization, and definitely for the fan base. So yeah, let's talk about how bad is it? What does this valley look like right now for the Mavs and for fans? And let's just zoom out a little bit if we can. All right, this podcast today is brought to you by Turo. I've said this a few times before, but let me say it again. It was my birthday back last month, and my wife wanted to surprise me. Said, "Hey, I got you something different for your birthday this year." I'm not even a big car guy, and we went driving, pulled in this place, and there's a Tesla in the driveway, and she said, "I rented you a Tesla for the day for 24 hours." I'm like, "How did you do that?" She pulls out her phone, and her phone has an app on it called Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. You can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget. You could do a spacious SUV, a minivan, maybe a classic or a luxury car for a special event. Find affordable economy cars if you're on a budget and just need to get from A to B. Many Turo hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Forget booking rental cars and find your drive at Turo.com. That is Turo.com. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about it. So, I think it was before, maybe it was during the Milwaukee game. I know before it, Nick was back on Twitter catching up on the games. He was texting me about some different things, and I saw Nick tweet out a little bit earlier on Sunday about how toxic Mavs Twitter seems to be. If you have Twitter, I know we have a lot of listeners, both audio and watching on YouTube, that don't have Twitter, and he had tweeted out about how just toxic Mavs Twitter feels right now. Tim Cato tweeted out during the Milwaukee game, I think it was during or maybe before it, about how he's been on Twitter since 2012, and this seems like, paraphrasing, the darkest it's been right now, the worst it's been. And I couldn't help to I started thinking about it. I'm like, all right, so what makes it feel that way now? What is making, and a reminder, Twitter is a remember the platform. There's so many takes and opinions on Twitter right now, about Twitter, the platform. That's what I meant by that. But also remember, this is probably the biggest the fan base has ever been on Twitter. So just more and more, I seen Mike Peasley, he tweeted at myself and Tim, was like, "Man, you should have been, this should have been around during after the Portland losses back then." And you start thinking about DeAndre Jordan stuff. I think the difference with DeAndre Jordan stuff and now is I feel like we were collectively embarrassed with the DeAndre stuff, and it just sucked to be online because we were just collectively just getting dunked on by other fan bases and everybody, like, nationally, to where, like, man, this sucks. Like, we're like looking at each other saying, man, this sucks. I think the difference between that and now is there's so many different variations of opinions right now about what's wrong within the fan base that everybody's like fighting each other. We were collectively pissed off together, like, this sucks. Now it's like, this sucks. Well, let me tell you why it's wrong. And that's the thing. It's like, man, there's so many different reasons, emotions, frustrations about why things are the way they are right now. But let's zoom out just a little bit. It's because there's expectations. I heard this equation back a few years ago, and it was, now I'm sure you'll tell me if the equation's wrong, but it was success equals results minus expectations. And it's basically just an equation, a simple way of putting an equation visual to, hey, when you have expectations, it changes the ball game. Like, you go back to Dirk's last year and Luka's first year, and it's like, all right, it's the swan song of Dirk. It's Luka's first year. Even Dennis's first few years, like, there were no expectations, right? Like, we're going to suck before we got Luka. And then we got Luka. And then you have like the honeymoon phase of Luka's so young. He's a rookie, no expectation, whatever. He's 19, he's 21. We're tweeting out all the stats. The first 21-year-old to do this. And it's like, oh, cool. We made the playoffs. Wow. Buzzer beater in the bubble. This is awesome. This is fun. Dang it. We lost. This sucks, but we got time, right? We're not supposed to compete. It's Luka's. He's so young. We have time. Let's just do this. Slowly build this thing. We hear all the age comps and Jordan didn't win this until he was this age. And then it's like, all right, make the playoffs a few years. All right, okay, we're feeling good. Still playing with house money a little bit. Then you make the improbable, long playoff run to the conference finals. Wow, you beat the Jazz. The vibes are immaculate. So much fun. You beat the Suns. We're like popping off on Twitter, YouTube is so much fun. The fan base is a lot of fun. Expectations are now on the horizon. You have a star player that is win a title or bust now. You have a conference finals run. And then from that point on, now it's like, hey, now the expectations are here. Now this is where it's going to get real. And that is what is the source for a lot of this frustration, because now when you don't meet it, now there's the frustration of, all right, why are we not meeting it? And I think one of the key things to this is when you look back at the Brunson departure, and I think it was for a lot of people, I think it was so easy to look at Basketball Reference or look at a box score and say, Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway, whatever, equals this amount of points as Jalen Brunson. So therefore, it's an even swap, and the expectations weren't adjusted. Now, can we be frustrated with the front office for not bringing Brunson back? All of that. I would have personally paid Brunson to come back. I've been on record for that. I'm like, hey, the moment that they kept him past the deadline, I'm like, you had to keep him. For the trade asset alone, you had to keep him. Pay the cost. But now it's like the expectations weren't adjusted, because it was, instead of Brunson leaving and then saying, for a lot of us saying, all right, that naturally means we're going to take a step back. It was Brunson left. Well, we enter these two players who didn't play for us last year, who scored a ton of points. So they should be able to equal out Brunson and we'll be fine. And I think we're undervaluing what Brunson brought to this team. And we're kind of seeing the impact of losing that guy, losing a legit third ball handler, but also losing a guy who knows the system and knows how to play with Luka and all of that stuff. So how bad is it right now for Dallas and for Mavs fans? It's tough. It's frustrating because they're not meeting expectations. They're free falling in the standings. The vibes are off. I'm going to talk about that just in a second, and maybe some solutions. And I'm sure Nick and I will talk about it again tomorrow. Of just, yeah, it is. It feels like, I think it was either Kirk or Gallagher who tweeted out that it feels like a chore to watch this Mavs team. And it shouldn't feel that way whenever you have a star like Luka. And that is really kind of the foundation of all of it. It does feel like a chore. It feels like you almost, when you're going to turn Bally's on to watch this game, it's almost like, if you're not, I am super blessed and fortunate to get paid to cover the Mavs in a couple different ways, but it's like, it literally feels like you're clocking into, a job that, I mean, we've all had the job, right, in our life that some of you are working it right now. You're on like third shift, or you're about to go in tomorrow to a job that you just can't stand, or it's like, let me go in, let me clock in, let me drive to work in the morning. And you just have this like dreadful look on your face. It's almost that type of vibe turning on a Mavs game right now. I'm like, all right, let me turn this on. Let me see what I got to drink, and let me chill. Let me just watch this game and see what's gonna happen. Even though I can probably tell, like, that's the type of feel I think for a lot of Mavs fans. But let's take another quick break, and then we'll be right back. Talking about how the Mavs can kind of, I guess, say fix it, or not really fix it. What's the next move for the Mavs? Yes, coming up next. Let me put this PrizePicks lower third overlay up on the screen because this pod is brought to you by PrizePicks. Guys, you know how much stuff's going on right now in the sporting world? Not just the NBA and the Mavericks and all the fun stuff we like watching on basketball court. We also have the NFL. Can't talk about the Ravens right now. Both my teams are just breaking my heart. All right. So this is like really, really tough sports valley for me at the moment. The World Cup. There's just so many different things. You know where you can have some fun with it. It is Prize Picks. How does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players. If if they go score more or less than Prize Picks projection, you could win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So if you want to, let's say, look up for the next Mavs game, the Mavs play the Golden State Warriors coming up. You want to look at Prize Picks for Luka Doncic points and then Steph Curry assist, and then you want to match it with like a Draymond Green rebound. This is how Prize Picks work. But if you want to do it for football, men's college basketball, man, men's college basketball right now is underway. It seems crazy that we're already in the season. Women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states in Canada. Download the PrizePicks app. Go to PrizePicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKED ON. Deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. Deposit $50, they'll give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKED ON. Sign up for instant deposit. Match up to $100. It's PrizePicks.com. Woo! Insert segue music back to segment 3 that I don't have because Nick has all the fun toys. I'm going to take a drink right now. Y'all can watch me take a drink. Shout out to the guy that I said this last time to. He said, I stopped washing my dishes just so I could watch you take a drink. This is for you, my man. Good old Southern sweet tea because I have family from Kentucky. And yeah, has a sweet tea. Probably not the healthiest for me. But you know what? Neither is the Mavs. All right. What to do right now? So, let me get this Prize Picks lower third off real quick. Do this whole pod brought to you by Prize Picks. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're an audio listener, you're so confused. The vibes are off. There's no way to say it. It feels like the vibes are off with the team. I haven't seen post-game comments. I hit record on this before post-game stuff came out. And, you know, this year they're not doing a post-game over Zoom. Or at least live. And so you're not seeing, that's why you're not seeing as many people tweet out quotes and stuff from post game because a lot of media would just hop in Zoom and just, you know, tweet out quotes and stuff like that. So sometimes they, you know, we could see recordings of stuff for the away, you know, away trips. Home games were there in the building, but unless you're Brad or Callie or Tim Cato or Tim McMahon, a lot of those people who travel with the team. But yeah, the vibes seem off. Vibes seem off with the team. The chemistry seems just a little weird, and it's so weird watching it because that was one of the biggest things last year about this team was the vibes and the chemistry and everything. It's like, man, like that was kind of like what if there was one thing we knew we always had last year, it was the chemistry and the vibes. And it just feels like we don't have it right now. There's too many things. There's too many things up in the air. It's such a weird dang season for the Mavs and just the roster and stuff. But yeah, what's their next move? What do they do from now? Let's just assume now. Can't just assume. Although Jason Kidd has shown the willingness to change things up. We've seen him bench JaVale McGee. I know probably not change up as many things as a lot of you have wanted, but at least we've seen a little signs of it here and there. But let's just assume that something will change. Let's just assume that. Probably won't, but assume. What's the next move? Is it a trade? Honestly, I'm shocked that they haven't made a trade before now. I thought that they would. I was pretty vocal going to the latter part of the offseason that they would be making a trade, at least for another ball handler creator. I'm actually really surprised they still haven't done that. And I guess they're just going to wait it out, and they're waiting out some of these teams to kind of go south. Man, Utah is just free falling right now. Shocking. But I think they're just waiting it out, trying to see what teams out there are saying, all right, we'll just get rid of this guy and try to get a bargain deal on that. So trade is one of those routes. Like, they could make a trade coming up in the near future and say, all right, we just have to shake things up. How far do they have to go into the season before they make a trade like that just to shake things up? I don't know. I know a lot of you listeners saying now's the time. Like, they should have already made it. Golden State's coming up on Tuesday night at home. That would be a 5th straight loss. I mean, I know Golden State struggled some this year, but Steph's playing absolutely unreal basketball right now. But they're still not fun to play. So that could be a 5th straight loss. And is trade the route? I think at some point they do make a trade. I really do. Even though I've been wrong about it so far. I thought they would have made one by now. Is it lineup combinations? I mean, I'm pretty big on this, that this is where they should change up some things as far as who plays with who. In some of these like third quarters, I think I'll be so down to play to change up some things in the third quarter. I love that Christian Wood started the third quarter tonight. I would love to see like what are some of these fourth quarter combinations. I mean, we've seen Luka start these fourth quarters over the last few games. So is it, trying to find ways to, which we've talked about on this pod, is it trying to find ways to save some minutes off Luka earlier in the game, in the third quarter or the second quarter or something like that, to give him maybe the whole fourth quarter to play? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's those lineup combinations throughout the game that I'd love to see a little bit more of, or at least a little bit more of some switch ups, some change ups of some of those things. Is it Jaden Hardy? The Hardy Party. Jaden Hardy put up over 40 points. I think it was 41 points the other night. We all saw the highlight reel. We're seeing the clips from the G League. Man, he's fun. I love that kid. He is a lot of fun. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see how it translates in the NBA. I don't know if Jaden Hardy putting up good stats in the G League directly correlates to putting up 40 points in the NBA. But I mean, if it keeps on going south on offense, or you're looking for some type of other scoring punch off the bench, man, I would love to see him have a shot at some point. Yeah, I love him. I can't wait to see what he is in the league down the road. I still think it's going to take a little bit of time. I love I can't lie. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've broke down film of the legends or something lately, but I'm watching some of the highlight clips. Some of the few people I've talked to about Hardy up in Frisco have great things to say about him. He's doing, and what you're hearing is everything you want to hear about him. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for his future. I don't know if that's the next move that like solves everything. How much of this is second year Jason Kidd? Ducks. This is one of those things we asked before the season. We said, if you look in the past and you look at some of the Jason Kidd, Milwaukee, yes, you're like, all right, is there a honeymoon phase, a little bit of like year one, and then, honeymoon is over. It is year, 7 of the marriage, and you're trying to figure things out. And it's like, all right, it's a little tougher than our honeymoon stretch, to Cabo. How much of it is that? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've seen that come up a few times. Just some coaching decisions from him and all of that for fans, and some text and all of that. But anyway, those are some options. Oh, and of course, you know what else they could do? They could change up the starting lineup. Guys, it's been good. We'll be back tomorrow. Nick and I will be back talking about this current Mavs season and the state that they're in. See you tomorrow. Peace out. Boom.